So you played ball at Richmond. How did that go? What was that? And what was college life like? Like playing basketball, being a student athlete because your parents had impressed that upon you earlier, being a student first, athlete second. How did you balance that with enjoying college but also trying to win?
Yeah, I would say it was like some of the toughest 4 years of my life,
Really?
but also, yeah, by far, but also some of the best. My freshman year I came in and I was, starting some games. It was like going to be a very, very positive year for me, but then I got hurt. So I ended up needing major knee surgery. I think I got hurt the last non-conference game before we went home for Christmas break.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, so literally all Christmas break, I was like hobbling around the house, and then I got back to campus and went and got an MRI, and they're like, "Yeah, you're done for the year." And
This
that
is your
kind
first year.
of say that again.
This is your first year.
Yeah, my first year. So dealing with the fact that you're away from family, I've never really been seriously injured before in my life, so just dealing with that mentally was so tough. But I had such good support systems around me. My teammates were there every step of the way. Some of them had been through multiple knee surgeries, so they were kind of, guiding me, making sure that I had what I needed, making sure that I was prepped going into surgery of like what to expect. And then, unfortunately, one of my teammates who had multiple knee surgeries got hurt again, but she could basically we went through surgery together and recovery together. So she was kind of like helping me along as she was going through hers, which was just amazing and just such a testament to who she was as a person. Because I mean, you're talking about like a 17, 18-year-old me who doesn't know anything, and you're like, hey, let's go. We need to get in the gym. Hey, let's go. I don't want to hear you crying. Like, yeah, that's you're hurting. You're not in pain. There's a difference.
Hmm.
So being able to kind of like mentally balance that and then just learn so much from the sideline was huge. So going into my sophomore year, I ended up kind of taking that too much to heart because I was over analyzing everything at that point because I'd already been on the sidelines. I'd known everything that the coach wanted. So I was just like very, very critical of myself, and I kind of became my own worst enemy. So that was really hard. But again, I had really good people around me. And that kind of, one of my coaches, one of my assistant coaches, she kind of pulled me aside after one of the games towards the end of the season. She was like, Chris, you can honestly be like one of the best players to come out of Richmond. Like you have that talent, you have that ability. She was like, you are your own worst enemy. So she was like, we're going to get in the gym. We're going to like work through this, and we're going to help you build up that confidence again in yourself so that you can let it show. And so I literally worked with her all summer and came back and had my breakout year, my junior year. So that was awesome. I led the team in scoring and steals, I believe. And then, just kind of tried to build off that. But going into my senior year, that was the hardest year I've ever had.
Going into your senior year?
Yep, going into my senior year. Me and the coach kind of got off to a rocky start. As a senior, you're expected to be perfection. You've been through the system for 3 years. You're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to, know when. Exactly. So I was kind of that example that he wanted to set. So I had one preseason session where I struggled because I was sick, but it didn't matter. Like, you're the senior, you're supposed to get through it, and you're supposed to set the tone. You can rest after. And so he kind of made an example out of me. He took away my starting spot. For the first, I think, 3 or 4 games of the season, I didn't start. And that just like hit so hard because I'm like, I'm the returner, I'm the leading scorer. Like, this is supposed to be my year. Like, I'm
This is your
supposed
last year.
Exactly. So that like just kind of pushed me to go harder and get in the gym more. And I ended up, I think the last like 13 or 14 games of the season, I was averaging like 19 points a game. So it was tough because like every practice it was all me. Like, if anybody messed up, it was my fault because I didn't direct them into why they should, be doing something different. It was just a lot of pressure, but I wish I knew what I knew now then, because like I was, 20 years old trying to be told to lead a team. And at the time I didn't know what that meant. I was like, well, I'm learning these things, but like, you got people that are 23 years old over here. Like, I don't know what that means. I'm working hard. Like, I'm busting my behind, trying to give you what you want. And it's just not lining up. And instead of being able to like confront that head on and sit down and talk to him and have an adult conversation, I kind of shied away from the confrontation. I was like, well, maybe if I just work harder. But it wasn't about working hard. It was about applying what he was saying. And so that was kind of the disconnect. And, since then, like, we've definitely had conversations, me and my head coach, and I just like really thanked him, because I was like, if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be able to have the successful career that I do overseas, and get through the things that I got through overseas. So, one of the key moments that stuck out to me was on my senior night. He, gave me a hug and whatnot. And he was just like, I'm proud of you. And I was like, whoa, like,
you didn't say that at any of these practices.
Exactly. Like any other time in the year, you didn't say that, but I think it just meant more at that moment too, just to kind of hear that from him and be able to kind of reach that point where I'm like, wow, I came from all of this. Because there were times where I wanted to quit. I was like, Dad, I'm not in this. Like, I don't know if I can make it through this year. And, having that system where, my dad was like, you signed up, like, you committed to this, like, you want to play overseas. If this is what you want, then I'm going to push you to get the most out of it. So, having people around that know what your dreams are and don't let you settle for anything less was so important.
All right. That's there's so much there. That's, I love that. I love that. What I really love is how you were able to be introspective. I think a lot of times in life, things happen and we're not able to see what we were supposed to learn from a situation. Yeah. And then we're just upset, right? Meanwhile, that person's kind of moved on with their life. They don't even remember the situation, but we're like holding on to something and we're so upset. Exactly. We just haven't learned what we need to learn. I think it's just amazing that you were able to just be mature, just kind of like circle back and say, okay, like here's what I learned from the situation. Here's what I could have done differently. So
it took a few years. That's for sure. Because, when I graduated senior year, like, I didn't have mentors. I didn't have a lot of people around that could help guide me into that next step. So I was really frustrated because I was like, I don't know how to get to that like pro level in my career. And so it was a lot of trial and error. And I feel like, I did kind of waste a little bit of time in the areas where I shouldn't have been because I just didn't have that guidance. And so I was a little frustrated because I was like, I feel like y'all should help me through this. But again, at the end of the day, like, they can only get you so far, and then it's on you to kind of take that and be able to learn from everything and be able to put yourself into the position to be successful. So, for me, like, I'm very appreciative of my journey because now, I'm in the place where I can give back and help people who may not have been, the D1 athlete or the top level, major school player. I now have that experience where I can help them and help, guide them in what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing to get to their pro level in their career.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thanks for sharing that. That's good stuff.